episode 88 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, March 6th, 2020. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoy this episode. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting and crocheting to share with you all. You can find me on Instagram at Noble Character Crafts, and you can also get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links in the description box below to all of the places that you can find me, as well as the show notes for this episode. I am currently hosting a knit along, which is called the Make 9 2020 Mal, and that is for you to join in on the Make 9 challenge, where you post a picture on Instagram showing 9 patterns that you would like to make within the year of 2020, and then any participation in that make along is an entry for a chance to win a prize, which I will be pulling randomly throughout the year. So if you would like to join in on that make along, I would absolutely love to see the projects that you would like to make in this year. And there is no other requirement other than to make a Make 9 board and post it with that hashtag Make 9 2020 Mal. And then you can just enter any pictures that you post showing progress that you are making on any of the projects that you would like to make, or any of the finished objects that you happen to be able to complete from your list. But there are no requirements in that you have to finish everything on your list. WIPs are included, and every craft is also welcome to, if you want to have a mixture of knitting, crocheting, cross stitch, sewing, any craft that you want to add to your board is perfectly acceptable and welcomed. I would love to see all of the different things that you would like to make this year. So it's not too late to join in. We're going to be running the Mal for the entire year. So please feel free to join in and participate by just sharing the progress and projects that you are making this year. Today I am wearing my Gigi cardigan, which I made earlier this year. This is a pattern by byDevin Ventre, who's known as Knitty McPurly. And I did modify it quite a bit from her original pattern. I cropped it. You can kind of see that it's cropped. I added buttons all along the front, which is a modification from hers. I changed the neckline kind of just because I don't know, it just wasn't working out for me to follow the pattern that she had. And so I just did a 2x2 ribbed neckline, and I lengthened the sleeves as well. The sleeves in the original pattern are short sleeves. So I made quite a bit of modifications to this cardigan, but I absolutely love it. I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn in the Forest Heather colorway. So I really have enjoyed wearing this so much already this year. I just made it in January, I believe, so I haven't had it for too long, but I've already really enjoyed wearing it a lot. So I have a couple of finished objects to share with you all today. The first of which is a pair of socks for my daughter. And I love how they turned out. This color, this yarn is so pretty. I just really love it. The colors are a bit brighter on the screen than they are in real life, but it is a bright color. So this is Lang yarns in the Jawoll Magic Degrade Superwash, and the colorway number is 5912, I believe that's what that is. It is a fingering weight, 75% virgin wool and 25% nylon, and I really enjoyed working with this yarn. It was so wonderful to work with. The color change is so gradual that you hardly even notice as you're knitting, but then once you've got it worked up, I just love it. I think it's so beautiful. I did try to match the two, and they're not a perfect match because the color change is kind of varied, even though they didn't completely match in this skein of yarn. But it's pretty close. I'm just being picky to say that they didn't match because they're pretty well matched. I did the heel toe do-si-do sock pattern, which is a beautiful pattern by Kay Litton, who is the crazy sock lady. and has crazy sock lady designs. This pattern was originally designed specifically for self-striping. It works so well with self-striping yarn. I don't think it's quite as effective with this yarn just because it was more of a gradual color change. I think this, I mean, it's still lovely, but I just think that the sharp stripes in yarn do this pattern even more justice because it just looks so cool with the chevron design that forms. You can kind of see it, but it's just kind of blurred, I think. It's still lovely, and I absolutely love this pattern. It's just a 2-row repeat, and it's super easy to memorize and nearly mindless. You know, it just really doesn't take much concentration to do this pattern, so I love it. I've made this pattern before, and I will definitely be knitting this pattern again because I absolutely love it. I made the smallest size. My daughter is 9 years old, so I cast on 56 stitches, which is the smallest size included with the pattern. It has it's knit cuff down. I cast on 56 stitches, and the ribbing is a 1x1 twisted rib. I did that for 20 rows as per the pattern. I did not really pay attention to how many repeats I did for the leg. I just knit the leg until I thought it was a good length. I knit these 2 at a time because that's my favorite way to make them, so that I don't have to really pay attention to counting the rows. You know, I can just knit and they're exactly the same because they're knit at the same time. So I'm sure I didn't do as many repeats as Kay recommends in the pattern because, you know, since they're for my daughter, she doesn't have quite as long of legs as an adult. I did the recommended heel flap and gusset for the heel. I used a one-of-a-kind mini that I dyed myself, and I've had this mini for a long time, and that color has never coordinated with anything that I've had. I've just kind of had it thrown in my scrap bin for a long time just because it never worked with anything. I thought, oh, I'll keep this for heels and toes and cuffs maybe, and I've just never used it because it never really has gone with anything. But I really wanted to use something for the heel, a different colorway for the heel on these socks, so that I wouldn't mess up the striping pattern as much. And this color just went so perfectly with the other color here in the sock. So I was super happy to be able to use that, and I think it looks really cute. It worked out perfectly because this color just, you know, it ties it all together. I think it worked perfectly. Let's see. I made her another pair of socks back in January for her birthday, and they fit her perfectly. And I had written down notes on how many rows I needed for the foot. And for that first pair of socks, I knit 67 rows for the foot. And so I was going to copy that exactly. Now for that pair that I made in January, I used Knit Picks Felici yarn. And so of course this is different yarn, but I was planning to make it the same number of rows for the foot. And I was getting close to 67 rows on the foot. I was like 60 something, maybe right at 60 or just 62 or something around in there. And I thought, boy, that is looking long. And so I tried it on my daughter, and it was already past her toe. And I hadn't even started the toe yet, you know. So I had to rip back, I think it was about 7 rows that I ripped back, and then I just started the toe immediately because they were already long enough. So I think, let's see, what did I write down? I think I did like 56 rows for the foot this time. Yeah, I did. So I was surprised by that it was such a big difference from the Knit Picks Felici and this Lang yarns. But it's okay. It worked out, and it wasn't too terrible to rip out 7 rows. Anyway, I followed Kay's pattern exactly as far as the toe as well, and I love Kay's sock patterns. If you have watched before, you probably know that because I have made a lot of her patterns, and I enjoy them so much, and they fit so well. They fit me really well, and the other pair I made for my daughter was a pattern by Kay as well. So anyway, they work so well, and I really enjoy them. I knit these on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles, and yeah, I'm excited to give these to my daughter so that she can start enjoying them. She's really enjoyed the first pair I made for her. Well, I did make a pair for her like over a year ago, but anyway, she's really liked the new pair that I made for her and has worn them a lot, and she would love to have more and more socks. So I will probably be knitting her more, and yeah, I'm really happy to have another pair done for her. The next finished object that I have is a project that wasn't even a work in progress last time I recorded, which was 2 weeks ago, and I was able to make this baby blanket, which I really am so happy with. This is one of the projects off of my Make 9 2020 gift list. So for the Make 9 2020 Mal, I decided to make 2 Make 9 boards. One board with projects for myself that I would like to make, and one with 9 projects that I would like to make as gifts. And this was one of them. This is the meeting point square. Is that right? Meeting point square? Or meeting points? Meeting point square. It is a free pattern by Maria Sommer. And it is just for, well, it was for an Afghan that she designed that it looks like there's quite a few different squares that then have different patterns, and then you put them all together in an Afghan, so it has quite a, you know, a varied look. But there is a blog post that just gives the instructions for this square. And I wanted to make a baby blanket with just that pattern. This is actually the 3rd baby blanket that I have made using 2 Lion Brand Mandala cakes that I got. And I got 2 different colorways. One was called Troll and one was called Chimera. And I broke those mandala cakes up into all of the different sections of color. So I just wound off the color blue and then cut it off and had a little ball of blue, and then wound off the color, this orangey red, and did the same thing. The way that the mandala cake works is it's just a long color change. So there's a big section of one color, and then, you know, there's just lots of different colors in this mandala cake, and you can break it off so that you have lots of little minis that you can use for blankets really well for this. So this is the 3rd baby blanket that I've made using up those mandala cakes, and I actually still have a little bit left from those cakes. So I had lots of little balls of scrap yarn that I wanted to use to make this pattern, and I didn't have enough to make all of them with the original pattern, which is this. There's a 4-row circle pattern, and then you square it off, and then there's 3 rounds of the squared, you know, squaring it off, and then 2 more additional rounds with the contrast color. But some of the scraps I had were not large enough, and so I decided to modify the pattern in that I made some that only had 1 round of color. I made some circles with only 2 rounds of color, some rounds with 3 rows of color, and then I did do some as the original pattern with the 4 rounds of color. And I really like how that turned out. At first I was thinking of striping the colors to make them all large circles, but I decided that I really liked the variety of having all of these different sized circles. I just think it's so fun, and I love how it looks. It reminds me of planets a little bit. I love how this pattern makes the X's in between each square, so it kind of reminds me of X's and O's for hugs and kisses, so I think that's super cute. And I can just imagine that a baby will be mesmerized by looking at this pattern. I think that it will be really grab their attention, and I'm thinking maybe if, you know, they lay it down on the floor as a play blanket, it'll really get their attention to look at the different colors and shapes. So I'm really happy with it. The contrast color that I used is Bernat Baby Sport in white. It's confusing that they call this sport because it's actually a DK weight yarn, as well as the Lion Brand Mandala Cakes. That's a DK weight as well. All of this yarn is 100% acrylic. I used a US G hook, which is 4 or 4.25 millimeter. It's kind of funny that a G hook, sometimes it's listed as a 4 millimeter and sometimes it's listed as a 4.25 millimeter. I have G hooks that show both, so I don't know. I actually used 2 different hooks. I started with a boy hook that said it was 4.25 millimeter, and then I got a clover hook because the boy hook, I'm starting to convert over to clover hooks because I really like them a lot more. So anyway, I ordered one because I really wanted to use one for this project, and it is listed as a 4mm, but it didn't make a difference with my gauge. The squares that I made with the different hook sizes didn't matter. So I was hoping to use, I had a big skein of this Bernat Baby Sport that I was hoping to be able just to use up for this blanket, and I ran out of yarn when I had 4x5 squares. So it was like, this was the width, 4 squares, and this was the length, but it just wasn't big enough. I thought that was going to be way too small for a baby blanket. So I had to go to the store and buy more yarn, which was kind of unfortunate because I was really hoping to use up this yarn, but oh well. I really enjoyed this pattern, so I can see that I could see myself making more of these. It was really fun. And obviously I worked up so quickly. I loved it. I really did. I joined as I went. So on the final round, I just did a slip stitch into the stitch across from there so that I could join as I go, which is so nice because that means I don't have to weave in any ends. I just crochet over all the ends. So there was only one string at the very end. After I went around and made a border, I had one string that I had to weave in at the very end, which is pretty incredible for a blanket like this with all these different colors in it. There are a lot of ends in there, but I just crocheted over all of them, so it makes it super easy. Oh, for the border, I just kind of followed the same pattern for the last 2 rounds of the square are pretty easy. I mean, you're just doing double crochets all around, US terms, double crochets all around, and then in the corners you're doing double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, 2 double crochets, chain 3, 2 double crochets in each corner. It's a free pattern, so I think that's okay to share. And so that's what I did for the border. I just did double crochets all the way around and then just did the corners with the same pattern that's in the square. And that worked out really well. Very simple. I was debating what to do for the border, but I just thought it was nice to keep it nice and simple. This would work so well for a boy or a girl, I think. I really love that it's really unisex in that way. It's not, you know, it doesn't have to be for a girl or a boy. It would work well for either. I think it's wonderful in that way. So yeah, I'm super happy with this. It was so addictive. It was really mindless and relaxing, and I enjoyed it so much. So I'm happy to have that done. There is a family at, I make baby blankets for families at our church so that when somebody has a baby, I can gift it to them. And there is a family at our church that is expecting at the end of the month, so I might give that to them, this to them. I have a few other baby blankets that I have in storage, so I'll see. I think that they are having a girl, so I don't know, it would be kind of nice to save this for a boy because I do find it a bit easier to come up with patterns for girls. I don't know, maybe I'm just more drawn to girly colors. So sometimes it's a little bit more tricky to get a specific boy baby blanket, but anyway, like I said, it would work for either, and I loved making the pattern, so I'd love to make that pattern again. Okay, those are the 2 finished objects that I have for this episode. So I will move on to my works in progress. The first one seems to be growing so slowly, but that's okay. I'm not in a huge hurry. Well, I was hoping originally to have this done in the winter time, but it's already feeling like spring here, so I think I've passed that mark. I'm not even to the halfway point on this project, so it'll just get done when it gets done. This is another project off of my Make 9 2020 gift list. This is the Rauli shawl, which is an amazingly beautiful design by Amelie. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She's a French designer, which means I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but that's what it looks like to me. Anyway, isn't this amazing? I'm just in awe of this design. When I look at it, it just is amazing to me. I think it's just amazingly beautiful. So here is a progress keeper marking where I was last time I recorded. So there's a few inches of progress, but it just seems like It doesn't grow very fast. Right now I'm on still the first half of it, and I still have to do 2 more repeats of this large section of the pattern. There's this one section of the pattern, and once I finished it once, it says, okay, now do that again 4 more times. So I've done it 2 more times. I've just started doing it for a 3rd time. And once I get done with this 3rd repeat, I'll do a 4th repeat, and then that will be the halfway point. So anyway, it's okay. It is growing pretty slowly though, I think. Here's the back side, which is equally beautiful. The 2 colors that I'm using are my own hand-dyed yarn. This is my Honest colorway. I do not dye yarn anymore, but just in case somebody bought this color before I stopped dyeing, just as reference to what it is. So it's kind of a light tan varied base, and then it has speckles of deep plum and orange and brown in it. And I love that colorway. And then the contrast color is my solid black Night colorway. And these are both on fingering weight 75/25 merino nylon blend. I am using the recommended needle size, which is US 6 4mm, I believe. Where is it written? Yes, US 6 4mm needles. All of the needles that I use are Koigu red lace. And yeah, I'm loving it. It's all over brioche, obviously, and so that is slow because you do each row twice with each color, but I just have to be okay with it growing slowly and it taking a long time. It's already been on the needles for a couple of months. I started this shawl and the next shawl that I'll show you on 2 consecutive days. So I started this shawl on January 26th, and I started the Nightshift shawl, which I'll show you next, on January 27th. So it is what it is. It'll take a while, but that's okay. I'm enjoying it. It does take a bit of concentration on one row specifically. All the rows take it's brioche, so you kind of have to pay attention to what you're doing, but I really enjoy it. So I'm happy with that. Anyway, this is going to be a gift for a lady that I go to church with. And it's a surprise gift. She doesn't know about it, but I'm very confident that she'll enjoy it and appreciate it. So I'm excited to gift it to her someday this year. It will be done someday. Okay, my next project is my Nightshift shawl. And I'm having this large thrifted basket. And this is not a surprise, but it is another gift knit for my friend Tina. And I'm loving it so much, so much. Oh, I'm in the middle of a row. I never do that. I didn't realize it was in the middle of a row. I just started a row too, I think. Yeah. Oh, well. I think I can show it off easily anyway. Well, it would be more convenient if it wasn't. Maybe I'll slide those stitches over. One moment. Well, I can talk while I do this. Okay, so this I am making for my friend Tina, and I have modified the pattern in that I am using, instead of using worsted weight yarn, I am using 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together. So it's more of a DK weight, which means that it is turning out smaller than the original pattern. And therefore, I am going to be knitting more. In fact, I've already finished the pattern. So that pattern ended at, well, I just finished the pattern. So the pattern ended right here. This right here is the last row of the pattern. So I'm just continuing with the pattern. The pattern's pretty easy to catch on to once you have made it this long. You know, it's just repeating the pattern over and over again. So I'm just continuing with the pattern until it's large enough. I really love how it's turning out. I think it's so cool. So I'm just using a ton of different colors that I had on hand. Some of this yarn is from Tina. Well, just one, I guess. Just one hank of yarn is from Tina, which is Malabrigo Archangel. that's here. All the rest of the yarn is either my own hand-dyed yarn. I do have a couple of Knit Picks Stroll Tweed that I'm using. And I also used a small leftover skein of yarn that was Debbie Bliss Premier yarn, which was one of these greenish colors. You can see in the background here. Anyway, here is a progress keeper from where I was last time I recorded. So it's getting pretty big now, and so I'm happy with that progress. This does use mosaic knitting, and this is the first time I've done mosaic knitting, and I'm really enjoying it. It's very easy, and this project is really mindless. It doesn't take a lot of concentration at all, and it's so enjoyable. I'm really loving it. I guess I need to put it on a bigger cord almost to get it spread out a little bit more. It's kind of a tiny little bit scrunched up on this needle, so I could put it on a longer one so I can spread it out even better. But I really love playing with all these different colors and changing which two colors I hold together and which colors are the background, which ones are the foreground. I think it's so much fun to see how the colors work together. Isn't it pretty? Oh, I love it. I'm not really sure if it matters if this is up or is this up? Like, how would you wear it? I guess this way. I guess you'd wear it this way. Anyway, oh, it's so pretty, isn't it? I really love the look of it. It's so fun. I love it. Okay, so, yeah, I'm using the recommended needle size, even though I kind of have thinner yarn than what's recommended. This is a US 8 5mm needle, and yeah, I don't really know how many more repeats I'll do of the pattern, but I'm just going to keep knitting until I think it's big enough so it's easy to wear. You know, with a triangle shaped shawl, you really want to make sure that it's not going to be falling off the shoulders or anything like that. So I want to make sure it's nice and big for Tina. And yeah, I think that's all. I love it. So I'm very, very happy to work on this. And, you know, it's nearing the end, I guess. You know, I feel good that I've actually finished the written pattern, and now I'm just making it as big as I want to. So, loving that pattern. Okay, the next project I haven't made a ton of progress on. This is a test crochet project that I am doing that I have to keep secretive yet. It's a pillow cover. And I can't show you the front of the pillow cover, but last time I showed you that I was working on the back part of the pillow cover. And so I've made a bit of progress on that, but not a ton. Here it is. And this is going to vary a little bit from the written pattern. She just kind of gave us an idea of what she was planning to do for the back. And so I just decided to stripe mine every other round. I think what she's doing is striping it every 2 rounds, like she does 2 rounds of each color. But you know, it's really going to be pretty flexible. You can do whatever you want. The yarns I'm using are Koigu. I don't know where the label's at. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm using Koigu KPPPM, which somebody told me what that stands for. It's an acronym for Koigu something or other. I don't remember now, sorry. But anyway, it's just like an acronym for their, oh, it's written here. Koigu Painter's Palette Premium Merino. And the die lot or die code number is P1637. And the original pattern is supposed to use scraps of yarn, but I just wanted to use up this yarn that I have had in my stash for a while. So that's that, and I only have, this is all I have left of the Koigu, which is probably not gonna, I assume I'm gonna run out before the back of the pillowcase is, or pillow covering is large enough. So then I'll just end with the contrast color, which I am using a bare yarn from my stash that is on my gold Stellina base. I'm about ready to run out of that one, so I have another skein, another hank that I rolled up into a cake that's ready to go. The hook I'm using is a C 2.75 millimeter hook. And again, I'm using a clover hook for this project as well. And this little turtle progress keeper is marking where I was last time I showed you. So I haven't done a ton on this, but this is a really nice project just to have on hand. It's very mindless and I'm able just to pick it up whenever I need something. I've been working on it a lot while the kids do their schoolwork and things like that. So I'm able just to carry the yarn up the back since it's going to be on the inside of the pillow so you won't ever see it. So that's really nice that I don't have to weave in those ends as I change colors. So I think that's really looking fun, isn't it? Even the back of the pillow will be neat, I think. So that's an easy project that I've been working on. And then I mentioned last time that I am working on one of my Scrappy Afghans, my Scrappy Hexie Afghan. It's sitting over there on my bed, but I'm not going to show it to you this episode just because I'm only adding one hexagon to it each day. And it's at the point now where there are 9 hexagons across each row. So there's over 40 hexagons to get around that circumference of the blanket right now. So I'm just going to wait until I have made another round to show that off. Just because it just doesn't change very much very quickly because the hexagons are pretty small. But another Scrappy blanket that I've been working on is this one. Let's see. This is just an easy granny square blanket that I've been making using up my worsted weight cotton stash. And oh, it's so much fun. Isn't it pretty and cute? I'm so happy with it. I really haven't decided what I'm going to be using this for. I may make it into a baby blanket or I may make it larger. I still can't decide whether I need to keep this or not. I don't need to keep it, but I really love it. So I might make it big enough to just be a blanket to have here at home. It is really nice that it's all cotton. It's just got a really nice weight to it, and I think it would be really nice to have a cotton blanket for the warmer months. I just really love, even in the hottest summer days, I have to have a blanket when I go to sleep at night. And it's still nice to have a blanket if you're watching a TV or something like that, or a movie. It's just nice to have a blanket, even if you're not actually cold, I think. So maybe it would be nice to keep this, make it big enough for our family to share. I'm not using a written pattern for this. It's just an easy granny square. So start off with 4 double crochet clusters of 3 double crochets in each cluster. So you start off with 4 and I chain 2 in each corner, and then I just have changed color for each round. And of course it just takes the tiniest bit of scrap yarn to make the rounds. And then for the final round, I've been using Lily Sugar and Cream. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Lily Sugar and Cream in the ecru color. Is that right? I can never remember how to say that word, ecru or ecru. Anyway, you know what I mean. I'm using an H hook, 5 millimeter. This is a boy hook by the Crochet Dude. Yeah, so I'm really loving this one. I'm again joining as I go, crocheting over all those ends, so makes it nice and easy not to have to weave in a ton of ends. It's really pretty, isn't it? I love it. So last time I showed this to you, I had 3 rows of 8 squares, and now I've added 2 more rows. Oh, I think it's so fun. I love it. I really like scrappy blankets, and I really love granny squares, so this is right up my alley. So those are all of the works in progress I have to share with you this week, and I think that's all. I think that's all I have to share. Thank you so much for joining me this week. We've had a good couple of weeks. Like I said, the weather has really warmed up. We've had so many nice days where the kids have been able to play outside for long periods of time, which has been so nice. My husband set up the kids' trampoline outside yesterday, which it had been put away for the winter, so they were very excited to see that back out again, and they can burn off a lot of energy out there now, which is amazing. We have a nice big yard anyway that the kids can run around in, which I'm so thankful for. So they, have a lot of space to enjoy outside. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to give me a thumbs up or subscribe to this channel. I would appreciate it so much. I hope you all have a great couple of weeks ahead. Take care. Bye.